Mike sounds nice. We discuss how the Grammys go black. With everything going on in the country, this might be the last time we get to say that. Remember when public enemies fight for power? Hip hop is rebellious and revolutionary. But what happens when the power wants to work with you? We'll discuss the line. I guess you got to know the ledge. And activists have called for a boycott of Target for retreating from DEI initiatives. Companies are backpedaling faster than Deion Sanders in his prime. Then we close things out with the Robinson Report.
Welcome to my Mike Sounds Nice, a freestyle conversation about health, relationships, and culture. I'm one of your hosts, Tim, always glad to be in the building.
Mic check 1 2. My mic sounds nice. This is Kevin, aka Reggie Jacks, coming from the Bronx. Thanks for joining us today.
My mic sounds nice. This is A from Strong Island. Glad to see you. Don't want to be you.
Before we begin, it's Black History Month. Happy Black History Month.
Yeah,
Still say that.
Who are those people? Nah. You've been canceled.
Yo,
Black history is American history.
We still repping Carter G, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, man. So what's good, just fella?
That sweatshirt is Actively Black, right?
Actively Black, yes.
Yeah, y'all should check out Actively Black. We don't often do plugs, but they're plug worthy.
Yeah. And their shirt, their sweatshirts are quality.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's plug worthy. It ain't just because support. Like, nah, it's a dope quality. I gotta get some.
It's more than just a nice screen or some nice words on it.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I like that stuff.
So, in the spirit of being actively black, let's start the show.
The Grammys were actively black last weekend. I don't know how many of you got a chance to check it out, to see some of the performances, acceptance speeches. We know Kendrick racked up 5 for 5. But you guys had any thoughts about it?
Go ahead, Tim. You first, brother.
For me, I saw parts of the show. I was definitely excited. I never thought I would see the day where a diss track would just sweep all of the categories. That's definitely something to dig into. Super excited that Doechii won Rap Album of the Year. As actually only the third woman to do so. The first was Lauryn Hill, the second was Cardi B, and the third was Doechii. And this category started back in 1989. So we're talking about a really long time. And of course, Beyonce winning Country Album and Album of the Year for Cowboy Carter. It was great just to see not only with Kendrick, but having Mustard up there. So, and the one thing that I found out afterwards is just really interesting that the Grammys have been really intentional in, dare I say, diversifying their pool and increasing their numbers of voters. And so that's why when they were giving out those categories, they would say, and based on the 13,000 voters, you think about it in the past, they didn't give you the number of voters as they was announcing certain categories, but that was intentional because the Grammy pool of voters has increased. So,
yeah, no, I loved the performance by Muni Long. That was probably my favorite performance of the night. I love Doechii. I love where she's going as an artist. I'm happy with Kendrick also. 5 Grammys is crazy. I was glad that he shouted out the fires and the speeches in LA. And I'm glad that was kind of a thing. That was a theme of the night, that they remembered LA was suffering while they're patting each other on the back. So I appreciated that. It was amazing to see all of the people who responded to Cowboy Carter winning Country Album of the Year, all the backlash. And one community had a huge problem with it. And there was a bunch of tweets and a bunch of social media responses. And Post Malone comes from hip hop and does country, and nobody really has a problem with it, they don't care about him crossing genres. But Beyonce, for some reason, it's a problem. They don't care when country artists have urban beats in their music, as some of them do. So they can take a music and appropriate it from us, create this whole class of music, claim it as their own, even though its origins begin with our community. Then they begin to appropriate a different art form of our music in that same music, and that's okay. But if a Black woman, wants to make a country album, the ceiling is falling. So I found that quite interesting. A little disappointing. What about you, Kev?
A little disappointing, but to be expected. But as I started, American history, Black history is American history. We know the origins of the music, and because they refuse to know history, they do selective history. That's why they feel that way. But definitely happy for Beyonce finally winning the album. Personally, not necessarily my favorite album of hers. It was all right. I would have preferred for others to have won, but I'm glad that she definitely got the win. And it's not because it's country music, because I can kind of listen to any type of music. Love the Doechii performance. Love her creativity. Love where she's going.
Ah,
Yeah. I get
poke the bear.
He did that on purpose.
No.
Poke the bear.
No.
He did that on purpose.
No. I took those notes when I said it. I love the energy, love the fact that she brought her mother up there. I'm gonna talk about the things that I love. What else did I love? I love the obviously Kendrick, the acceptance, just I love Kendrick trolling wearing the denim on denim outfit, which is known as a Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah, that was crazy.
But my man never miss an opportunity to troll. I enjoyed the Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars doing the California Dreaming. That was the hot shout out to the mamas and papas. Ray, when Ray performed, the British singer, the jazzy singer, I can't remember, Oscar-worthy performance or something like that's the name of the song. I'm a big fan of Ray. I've been on her since the Montreal Jazz Festival performance. Got to check that out on YouTube. It's a live performance, fantastic, and it's an album. Check it out, it's great.
Did you like Muni Long's performance?
It was okay.
Okay, wow, okay. I liked her.
Okay. I'm gonna shout out the the Air Jordan performance that they had. I mean the commercial. Then the commercial, there's a big long Michael Jordan commercial. And in there they shouted out HU. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And
if you don't know which HU, then you're whack. But go ahead.
And finally, the Quincy tribute. Not my favorite.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I didn't like it. I forgot who did Sinatra. Yeah, didn't like it. Sinatra's one of my favorites. I love Sinatra. I didn't like that performance. So it started off wrong for me.
You can't get Quincy wrong at the Grammys. You just can't, man.
Yeah.
I know you gave him 20 minutes, but you just can't. I mean, you got to hit on all cylinders with Quincy Jones, man.
I didn't even see it. I got to go back and watch it then.
Yeah. But I love Doechii, but that performance, sometimes I feel like she is being artistic for the sake of being artistic. Like I don't feel like that with SZA and Kendrick. I just feel like, or like Billie Eilish, I just feel like their art just flows out of them naturally, and the unique things they do comes out of them naturally. Sometimes I think Doechii is trying to be, in her performances, trying to be this artistic thing as opposed to living it sometimes. Like the beginning of her performance reminded me of Doja Cat. It just did. It rang of someone else. And And the crazy thing about it is I love her. I think she has all the art in the world. I just think her delivery of that art may be being tampered with by people in the back. She's very new to the scene, so there's probably a lot of voices in trying to market her and put her out there to the world. Whereas I think Kendrick is like, here's what I'm gonna do. Billie Eilish is like, here's what I'm gonna do. And that's not a knock on Doechii. I think that's maybe too many hands in the pot. I think her music is her own, but I don't think her presentation is always her own.
I think that it's interesting from a societal lens, and listening to her acceptance speech, and especially the end where she specifically is talking to darker Black women. I think there's levels of struggle and levels of things that you got to overcome that men don't have to. White women definitely don't have to. And it's not just supposing your point or anything. For me, I've listened to her speak probably a little bit more than her music. And I honestly have developed a great appreciation for her, like the EP that she actually did, well, the mixtape that she actually won from. Like, she literally intentionally, like, I'm separating from TDE. I'm just gonna do me. So for her, she's been working really hard to break away from those trappings that she was finding herself getting caught up in, even to the point of what led her to sobriety and other things like that. So I think that is probably a continual work in progress, but I appreciate the fact to be 20 something and to acknowledge that and then begin to have that fight, because I feel like she's reaching so many people who in their own place and space grapple with that. And for me, that's coming from my college students that I work with, whereas that is a draw just as much as her ability to do music. And I think lastly, I'll say that part of it, I think she is kind of putting it into the face of. That's like, oh, I'm as a woman, I'm only supposed to be hypersexual. Then boom, I'm gonna show you that. Or if I sing, I'm only supposed to do that. But then if I want to rhyme, what am I supposed to rhyme about? So it's kind of like I'm everything. I can do whatever I want to do on my own terms. So
yeah, we'll see. I don't have, for me, my critique is not the person, it's not the music that comes out of the booth. It's the presentation in performance is what I'm talking about.
No, I know. I'm just saying, but I was just giving a connection that if you listen to more of her interviews, it helps explain. And I said there's a difference between explanation and justification. So I was just speaking from that standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I enjoy how she's playing around with different performance styles and things within the same song, but typically that's not something that you get with an artist. I don't know if it's something about TDE, but if you kind of look at TDE, before Good Kid, Mad City, Kendrick was playing around with voices and sounds, almost as if he was like just different, bored with hip hop. You got Schoolboy Q in a whole different, looking completely different hat style in the way in which he's rhyming. Isaiah Rashad. So maybe there's something around TDE where they kind of choose these artists that are not.
Oh, absolutely,
that are left and right or center, and would be when you're in a collective where a group of people are like that. Then I think that you start playing around with what you do.
No, absolutely, definitely. And I just think that when you do that, it's a very nuanced thing, and it's not easy to get right, and what I'm talking about is a very fine line, and I think that you can miss it if you don't look really hard. But she's also, this is her first rollout, so you got to give her grace in terms of who she is now, who she'll be in a year, who she'll be in 5 years. She has a bright future, and
It reminds me a lot of her early Janelle Monáe.
yeah, yes.
No better way to end the segment. Because we will be all in Wonderland as we watch Doechii continue to evolve. K Dot doing the Super Bowl. I believe SZA's performing. Beyonce announced the tour. I just want people to be inspired. So
yeah,
but
remember, it's best to critique the greatest of our art, because that's where you can learn the most.
Yeah, without a doubt. Definitely. And Kev, my students felt the same way about the Beyonce, that it was long overdue. But if you're looking at her discography, and these are young people who are like Beyonce fans,
right.
Like Cowboy Carter is not at the top of, but they get it and they understand it. Like, because we could sit here and say, based upon the Grammys, is They Not Like Us Kendrick's greatest song? If you was to poll Kendrick fans, probably not. So it is what it is.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens. So what's next? What's going
next? So we got this podcast. I don't know if you guys ever heard of this podcast called Code Switch. Code Switch is a great podcast on NPR where they talk about the basically just code switching within our communities, where people of color or people that are not in the dominant culture, you have to switch sometimes, like how we may behave one way at the barbecue. Then we go into the office, we have to behave a different way. We're code switching. And, we kind of do it back and forth. So in this thing on code switching, I often talk about different cultures. They had this great thing about hip hop. Hip hop is the fight for power. Hip hop is fight for power, but it also advertises for power. And I'm gonna give you the description of it before we dive in. Right. So critics point out that the apparent hypocrisy of a pro-Black rapper like Kendrick headline the Super Bowl halftime show, since the NFL is the kind of institution that is known for the support of Black Lives Matter. So then they dig into the history of hip hop and how it's been.
They're not known for their.
I'm sorry. They aren't known. My bad. They aren't known.
I'm about to say they're known for their disdain, but
they aren't known for supporting Black Lives Matter. Colin Kaepernick and all of that. So then they kind of talk about how hip hop has been co-opted at different times and different things, throughout the country, and commercially and actually politically, how it's been used. And then, is it okay?
Hey. Because your whole body language was shifting while my man was just merely setting up the topic. I was just sitting here like, is she?
Tell us why you mad.
Tell me why you mad, son.
I just find it difficult when we say things like we're not provided opportunities or we're shut out. And then we get opportunities and then we're concerned about, well, what does this opportunity mean? I mean, we're at the landing place, and the landing place to me is being authentic. It's being true to in this case, hip hop, the art form, the essence of the art form. And as long as you do that, you can take it anywhere. And I was hurt. They're talking about my sister Toni Blackman, and because she was, what was it, USAID? Is it what was she?
No, she was the hip hop the hip hop ambassador program falls under the State Department.
Okay, but it's like it basically does relations for the audience.
Yeah, but I didn't want to confuse it with USAID, which is currently on the chopping block.
Yes. Yes. So they do, community reaching out across cultural lines through hip hop sponsored by the U.S. government. And the podcast seemed to take issue with, well, is this appropriate? And the professor at University of Virginia, he took issue with it. And I love Tony's response, but she was like, if I don't go and represent hip hop in my authentic self to my West African community, who else, they might put someone else here who is totally a bamboozle situation.
Could be Vanilla Ice.
Yeah.
Facts.
So I just think that while it's good to critique and to question what we're doing and how we're doing it, it can't be, hey, doors are closed for me, and then when doors are opened, we complain about what door is opened. I just feel it's a little disingenuous.
I hear you. Unless it's the door of no return, you should take a shot.
Facts. But to your point, and there's going to be a level of subjectivity when you're talking about Tony, because that's family. But understanding that this took place, I want to say late 90s, maybe early 2000s, the fact that whoever did their homework and approached her, as opposed to let's just offer this opportunity to the most popular hip hop artist from industry standard, is something that I felt was missed in the conversation. Like someone had to do their homework to find and tap into, hey, there's this sister who started this organization called Freestyle Union. Like the truth of the matter is her ambassadorship was really an extension of what she was doing domestically and here in the hood. Which then goes into what you were saying, that everything in my being is telling me Kendrick is going to be 100% Kendrick during that Super Bowl. I believe sometimes it's like that door gets open and that individual, it's like, oh, we know, kind of like, you ain't think he was going to do this. Like, you think about it, like when Beyonce performed on the Super Bowl, extra black. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just like, okay, the song of the album of the year is Cowboy Carter. Go look at that Super Bowl performance.
And
they were mad.
This podcast, just for the audience to know, they took issue with whether or not college professors should be teaching hip hop.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Which we have one on the show right now,
which I take offense, which I take personally.
My brother is my brother, man. Like, so, but I would feel like that. And in fairness to the audience, and my brothers can attest to this, I took offense to it before I even heard the podcast. I had this point of view, so I'm not just sticking up for Tim or Tony. I think standing in your authentic self is the answer.
Yeah, I'm not. I listen to the podcast quite often, not as often as I once did, but I definitely do, and I appreciate the how it makes you think. It's thought provoking. It makes you address issues that you don't necessarily think that you do because you're so comfortable in your code switching areas. This one I didn't. I don't know. I guess it was slanted almost as it was against the people that are using it for, I guess, for the ambassadorship and other things. And they touched on things how they used jazz back in the day, and I think they used it to help get people into a country where they ended up assassinating a leader.
Patrice Lumumba.
And America is going to do American things.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure the CIA would have found another way to take care of Lumumba.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they went in with Elvis and doing dirty things too. I just think that for an art form, a piece of the culture, if it's used, particularly for ambassadorships. When you go to different countries and you learn about different cultures and things, that's kind of that cultural exchange, part of that assimilation, part of the things that they say, which makes America great. How it's the melting pot. We take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it all comes together, and that becomes what the American culture is. And part of that is continuing doing these cultural exchanges. And you know what? Black history is American history. Black people are America. And our culture has a right to go out there because the culture that the Black people have in America is different than what might be in West Africa. And if we take that to other places and we learn from them, there will be a connection that we make with, back to our roots, but then also something that's exchanged. And I think I have a problem with people taking exception to that.
You know, when you have growth, there's always going to be room for critique because there's no growth that is perfect. Just like when you have that plant that comes to full bloom, you begin to prune it because you're making some adjustments so that it can do it even more. The three of us, amongst a bunch of others, we were blessed with the opportunity in February 1991 to have a gathering called Hip Hop at its Crossroads, Seizing the Cultural Initiative. And to think of the places and spaces that hip hop has gone and not only reached, but informed and influenced in our adult lifetime. And sometimes the individuals who are having the questions or posing the conversations, I want to see your receipts. Because sometimes, and I never slam young people, but sometimes you only know what you know. And then reading and studying and researching, that doesn't match first person experience and being there in the midst. And so when you think about where hip hop has gone, we could sit here and I have personal views about it. I think there some people who are doing hip hop in education spaces wrong, just like I feel like there's some people who are doing hip hop on a microphone wrong. I know both of you all have been in the media. I know Aaron could probably go for the next hour about people who've used their pen to write about hip hop wrong. But yet and still, the opportunity, like we could say, hey, we wouldn't have this podcast if it wasn't for hip hop.
Yeah.
And so do we get it always right? No, but we're open to have the conversation. And the last thing I'll say, there's an organization called Next Level where I had a chance to host in my class a group of about 15 to 20 hip hop artists from around the world. So the exchange goes both ways. And I feel like in that conversation of the code switch, that part wasn't lifted up. That through this, and you have people coming because they want the authentic. Aaron used that word in the last segment, authentic. Because without having the opportunity to interact with each other face to face, do we really want the world to identify hip hop through Viacom?
Yeah. I mean, and real talk, I'm not trying to stroke your ego, but it's just true, Tim. You teach hip hop at the #1 Black school in the country, but I was there with you devouring hip hop when you were 18 years old.
Shout out to Drew Hall.
I was there with you listening to the newest tape. When you talk, if you teach about freestyles in your class, you've done them. You know what I'm saying? You've spit off the top of your head. You've written rhymes. Who better to teach this art form than someone that is immersed in it? So the fact that it's at a university is immaterial. If it's Lupe Fiasco teaching hip hop, there's nothing wrong with that. And we need to celebrate that.
Loudly.
Yes.
Loudly.
Because if it's not Lupe,
then who?
Yes. There is a white professor. I think his name is Professor Dave, maybe. and he does such a great job on hip hop. He's been all over this Kendrick and Drake battle. He's done it. He understands about cultural appropriation, and he gets it. And he speaks about hip hop, at understanding that he's a white, middle-aged white man, but he does an excellent job. But he does it so well, I wouldn't expect the next middle-aged white man to be as knowledgeable as he is. So in those cases, I'd rather have a Timothy Jones.
But to your point, one, thank you. But I'm glad you brought up the other gentleman, because we don't want people to get trapped and think that what we're talking about is exclusively a white thing.
Yes.
Because I got a partner, brother go by Manny Faces, who is close to our age, so the middle-aged white guy, but hip hop comes out of his pores. And as opposed to teaching in a higher ed space, he has a podcast called Hip Hop Can Save America. So like there's been people who have been doing this work of various ethnicities, but what brings us together is hip hop. Like I wouldn't question Jeff Chang and say, oh, because you're Asian, you can't write. You Can't Stop, Won't Stop. And then you do the young adult version, and you do it with Davey D. So it's been there. And this is why I'm saying that it's dangerous sometimes when the entry point is through a more commercial critique and lens than doing this backstory work. Because there's a part of hip hop that's PG, which means pre-Google. So Google ain't gonna give you what we giving you right here. Yeah. So if your whole conversation is PG post-Google instead of pre-Google and post-Google or current Google, then you're blind, baby. You're blind to the fact. So
yes, and you know what? That's why I said authentic, because you know how I feel about Eminem. A lot of people take issue with Eminem. They took issue with Eminem on the Code Switch podcast. I don't, because he is an authentic hip hop artist who respects the tenets of hip hop
immensely,
immaculately. So I have no issue with him. And the professor's name is Professor Sky. You could check him out on YouTube if you want. Really does really good work on hip hop. So it's not about color or anything like that. It is about respecting the art that you're in, whether that is music, painting, dancing, whatever. As long as you're true to the art and you come with a reverence and a respect of the art, it's a-okay. And color is immaterial. Color can't be immaterial to every other art and then be material for hip hop. Then we don't have a real art form.
Yeah.
I think that the art overall, art always struggles with selling out.
Yes.
And particularly when it comes to black art, or that becomes even like the jazz conversation selling out when Miles Davis started messing with fusion, oh, that's wrong. So there's always been this kind of stay in your lane when it comes to black art. And but it's unfortunate, because some of the greatest art, some art that has traveled worldwide, and it should be studied. It's worthy of study, and if it's worthy of study, it has to be open to a number of people, and you have to leave it open and let people study, look at it, and those that have a close, not only have an affinity to it, but have a close relationship to it and have been there. And while they're still walking this earth, we need to be hearing from these people and allowing them to participate in the conversation. And is there commerce? Is there some commercialism in it? Absolutely, because people still have to eat. But that doesn't mean it's negative.
Yeah.
Hey, but the truth of the matter is, kudos to them for igniting.
Yes.
To have the conversation. Like it goes to what you said. I think the words of the day, in addition to you lifting up being authentic, is we have to be able to have these spaces to critique.
Yeah.
Because critique, that friction, that's where you get iron
the magic.
sharpening iron. That's where we get to learn. That's where we get to expand. So if the only people you're speaking to agree exactly with you, then you're just talking to yourself. And the only thing you're doing is getting better at hearing the same message. So you might as well do it in mono instead of stereo, because you're living mono. So, shout out to Code Switch, and definitely shout out to Tony and AD. I'ma holler at you the next time I run at you too. You my guy though, but I'ma holler at you. So what we doing with our money? Give me the loot. Give me the loot. I'm a bad man. Stick up.
So this is one I wanted to get into. So let's get Kev's up first.
I don't even got much for it.
Reggie Jackson in the building.
Explain it, Kev.
Target is based in Minnesota, right? We know that George Floyd happened in Minnesota after the uprising. All of the people.
Philando Castile is from Minnesota.
Philando Castile. So a lot of these things happened right in their backyard. They were aggressive in rolling out DEI initiatives. I don't even want to call it DEI initiatives. Inclusion initiatives, where they were like, hey, we're going to do things for the community. We're trying to uplift Black
Don't let them do that to you. Don't let them Republicans do that to you.
No, that's why I'm not using. No, I'm not, because
they see that's what they do. They make us move off of words.
That's right. That's right. Because they've already made it a negative connotation.
Well, see, but here's the thing.
To take the power back. Don't give them the power.
But the question would be, did the term come from us or did the term come from them?
Well, it did come from Republicans twisting it.
I didn't ask for diversity, equity, and inclusion. I asked for a fair shot.
Yeah. Stay woke.
That is. Kev, you can't. They stole liberal. The point I'm trying to make, Kev,
I know they stole it, but hey, it's been stolen. I can't get it back.
If you continue to do that, will continue to steal your words. Your new word is going to be stolen. At some point, you got to say stop. At some point, you got to stand in. Yes, I said diversity, equity, inclusion, and here's what it means: expanding the pool of your candidates so that you have a broad community of different ideas and can produce the best work.
I understand that, but if I say that and it automatically shuts people's ears, then then it's you got to use words to communicate. And if using a certain word will automatically close people's ears, then it's not effective communication. But I hear you. I agree with you fundamentally.
As you can see, it goes down on the My Mic Sounds Nice podcast, where we represent diversity, equity, inclusion, all within the pool of what it means to be Black and 56. So
I'm Black, y'all. I'm black,
y'all. Shout out to CB4. Let's get it.
So anyhow, Target now with the in 2025, and like a number of companies have moved off of their DEI work. And their efforts that they're doing and saying we're pulling back. So now they're starting to pull back on, I guess, focusing and highlighting Black businesses, Black products produced by Black businesses and things. And people are upset. Now they want to boycott Target.
And the question is, should we be boycotting Target? Is it an appropriate selection, Kev?
To boycott Target?
Yes.
I don't necessarily think so. I mean, if you want to do something, it is what I'm saying. In 2025, what would a boycott of Target look like? The Montgomery bus boycott lasted for 381 days. I know our people.
Yeah.
I know our people. When that Black Friday sale comes, it ain't happening.
I'll say this. Unless you want to go, Tim? You want to go?
No, go ahead. Hey, you good.
I'll say this. First of all, we have to be factually accurate. Target actually isn't canceling their DEI programs, Kevin. They are letting them expire. They are done every 3 years. So they are just not basically re-upping is really what they're doing, which is an important distinction.
Yeah.
It ends, I think, in 2025, and they're just not going to re-up. They also are taking, they had a program in which they brought in small Black businesses into the store. They are still going to do that, but they are going to change the framework, but ultimately probably bring in some of the same people, or the same community will still have opportunity.
It's just not going to be under the Kente cloth backdrop.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Much in a way, you stop affirmative action and then you just change it to communities and pick students from that group. I mean, from that zip code or whatever. So I think that I understand why people want to boycott Target, but there are a lot of other companies that have done the same thing. And I think Target went the farthest. Now, maybe Tim pointed out in our pre-production meeting that part of that may be where they're located and their response to the local community. And I think that's a point that you just can't ignore, that may have been part of their motivation. But at some point, if it really is helping Black businesses get in Target, doesn't matter. The work is the work. And if the work is good work, then good for the work. So I would personally say no for Target, but I believe in boycotts. I think we just, as a Black community and minority communities, have to be extremely selective when we boycott. We need to be more organized when we boycott. We need to use social media to plan for months before we boycott, and not just hashtags and, hey, stop, shopping at Target, because those are only marginally effective, and you kind of need them to go viral to do something.
I can imagine. On the one hand, we get enamored with the possibilities of things taking place on social media and going viral and bringing it together. But Kevin, your intro, you used the Montgomery bus boycott. Like, I wonder how much time and planning it was to mobilize that one community in that one city, because to take that action, you're signing up for a certain level of suffering. You're signing up for, but it's one thing. We know what it feels like to be hungry, but be hungry together. You know what I mean? Waiting for that care package to come in. It's a different type of suffering that, honestly, I feel like you're more willing to take on for a particular cause when you know that the person to your left and the person to your right, they rocking with you. When you're trying to do this planning on this grand scale, it just opens up so many holes, because it's like, okay, we're going to do this, but then depending on where you located, that particular Target store may have more employees of color than not. So then if it starts impacting bottom lines and then they start losing their jobs, have we had the discussion on how we're going to care for that? If you're talking about, hey, we're going to do this, and it's like, because even Jamal Bryant, he's calling for a 40-day, what he's calling boycott/fast. So he's trying to bring spirit and economics together, which is already a lot of confusion, and people are using words out of context, but that's a different show. But he's calling for it and putting together a guide, but he also has an organization background. Like, he was a youth organizer, big in the NAACP before he even
Ran for office.
ran for office and then became a pastor. So there is some muscle memory to that work, but I just think it has to be multi-leveled, and the level can't just start here with the hashtags because real talk, I mean, the target in my community may look totally different, Kev, than the target in your community, or the target in your community. And Target isn't the only company. It is like Target. And then the last thing I'll say, for me, if we're going to boycott, what's the end game? Pun intended. If you're boycotting Target, what's the target? How do you know you won?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I apologize. When you said Jamal Bryant, I thought you meant Bowman.
Nah,
that's why I said
that's
that.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jamal Bowman.
Shout out to Jamal Bowman.
The different JB.
So, in full disclosure, I was in Target yesterday. The Target near me, I think I don't see any other employees other than Black and brown people in my Target. So you boycott the Target. There's kind of that ripple side effect of what's going to happen with the people, in our communities and work and that work there. And ultimately, what is the goal? Are you think boycotting is going to force them to put it back? Putting it back is what we want. Do we want the opportunities? We want them to buy out to purchase our products, to have our products up for sale. Like what are we looking for?
Yeah.
And see, to me, that's the real question, because I'm all right even if Black employees have to suffer if the goal is the right goal. But I just don't think this is the right goal for the situation. I do think economic punishment is the way to go, because Montgomery boycotts, people talk about America, white America was put off by the dogs on our people and things of that nature, and that helped shift things. And the truth of the matter is, it was the economic pain that was caused by these boycotts, particularly the bus boycott, that crippled the city and really was the catalyst for change. So I think that economic punishment is the way to go. But I think this is not the hill we should die on. And we should use our boycotting as strategic and rare. And when we do it as much as a united community as we can get.
And to your point, it's multi-level. And I think it's understanding the role that you play. That because the economic impact of the boycott is powerful, but you live part of your life and your art is behind the camera. You could change the world with the right picture.
Yeah.
And so if you work in that joint together, that's an amazing that's an amazing 1-2 combo because you gotta tug on. Sometimes you gotta tug on the heartstring before you get to the purse string.
Yeah.
And then pull it and let it come together. But there's just a lot. We're just so intentionally, like they say, that it's just hoods because we're not neighbors anymore. That it is. There's so much work to be done to unite before you fight for what's right. And I think sometimes we knee jerk and we just jump to the fight. And then we're assuming that, of course, we're going to unite around this fight. And we could think about all of the confusion and then how people manipulated the term Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
That, as an organization, it was focusing on primarily police brutality. But the term was so big, then people was saying, hey, Black Lives Matter should be focused on this and focused on that. And it's like, how you going to tell a group of organizers what their organization should be focused on? And then people came with all lives and blue lives, and then now you see where it is.
Leadership.
Exactly. And so we have to unite to fight for what's right.
I think that if you're going to do boycotts, and I'm all for boycotts, but I think that one of the things that as a community we need to figure out is how to flex your power. And the first way to flex your power is to prove that you have power. So before you boycott, you need to do something in a way where you show what the economic power is that we have. We know the numbers are the numbers, but you need to inflict a day's worth of pain, 2 days worth of pain, something brief where we're going to do something where you can see how much power we have. Yeah. And that's like, in terms of how America gets down, that's like, now I got this weapon in my hand. You see what it can do. Now, if I aim it at you, it's going to be a problem.
Yep. And a day or two is easier to organize.
And so once you show that you have a weapon, then you get to go in and negotiate with people. We try to negotiate like, I'm going to boycott. They know you're not going to boycott.
Like here's the thing, and we're going to wrap this segment up. Not to discuss the effectiveness of the follow through or whatever the plan was, but the three of us literally were standing side by side, and I would say America will never forget October 16th, 1995. Because think about it, for that day when the Million Man March took place, there was some economics that happened that day. There was prayers that happened that day. There was unity that happened that day. There was a lot that happened before
atonement,
but atonement that day. And so to your point, that it's like, let's start like, if you want to choose this day, don't buy anything. Like, just to let people know to flex that it's like, I got the weapon and I'm going to show you I know how to do it. That first shot was intentionally over your head, but not so far over your head that you felt like I missed. It went over your head because I was aiming to show you how nice I am with it. Now I'm going to let you know I could go past your left ear. I can go past your right ear. So we going to work it out. We're going to work it out. And it has to be intergenerational, and we got to share the wisdom of our experiences. So
yeah, you're right.
Speaking of boycotts and uniting and Black history, let's end this on the right note, B. Let's get to that Robinson Report.
Robinson Report. Now it's time for the Robinson Report. We're about to talk about those things that are giving you life.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going happy today.
Then go first. Yeah.
Because it's Black History Month.
This will be a reel. this will be an IG reel before the Super Bowl.
All right. My Robinson Report is Rakim. Rakim is partnered with this company in the fintech space, financial technology space, and he got this new application, new platform called Notes. And it's a platform to address the financial challenges faced by independent and urban artists and creators. It's supposed to merge like music, money, knowledge to empower artists to help them, give them the financial literacy tools and capital and entrepreneurial skills to help them maintain control over their careers. Obviously, he's partnering with some other people in the space, and one of the things is it's also using AI. So the thing that I can't wait for is it's going to like Ask Ra is the artificial intelligence assistant. So like the voice agent. So you could ask him questions and he's going to answer. So I can't wait to be like, explain credit default swaps. Ask Ra. I want to hear it explained in the Ra voice. Tell me about derivatives.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What you got, eh?
Uh, I have been a fan of Michael Crichton, the writer, for a long time. Sadly, he died. Um, and he died before he could finish a book that he wanted to do for years called Eruption. And his family and estate gave the book to James Patterson of Alex Cross fame. And he has finished the book for him. So it's a James Patterson, Michael Crichton book called Eruption. I just got it in the mail 2 days ago. Started reading it, and it looks like a Michael Crichton book. You know, I really came on to him late in life. I really enjoy his stuff, and I hope James Patterson didn't mess it up. But I'm looking forward to finishing it.
That's what's up. So,
Yeah.
My Robinson report. I'm going to shout out a student of mine on IG. It's Fola _ So that's FOLA 3 times with the underscore. And he's a producer in my class. And we were doing a unit where we were working on creating subject-driven rhymes. They were creating their own version of Kick Push. So we first studied Lupe Fiasco Kick Push and how he used the skateboard as a metaphor. And so they were working on their rhymes. But we broke the class into 6 groups, and each group received a beat that he produced. And he produces using GarageBand on an iPad and totally be freaking beats out and doing things. But just 1, his willingness to share with the class, 2, the excitement of the students knowing that they were rhyming on a beat of a classmate. It just created a moment. And so I would love for him to get some more followers as he works on different projects. And so, like I said, it's FOLA _ and that's on IG.
Nice.
So
nice.
That's what's giving me life.
That is
That's
wonderful.
great.
So definitely, guys, you got to remember to like and subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. Tell us why Kevin is wrong. Tell us why you're disappointed this week he wasn't angry. You know.
Go Eagles.
Oh, all right.
I've been wrong almost the entire playoffs.
Okay.
I get one right. I gotta get one right.
All right, now let's go. Kevin, predictions. Super Bowl Sunday tomorrow.
Super Bowl Sunday.
February 9th, 6:30 p.m.
I
Eastern Standard
really
Time.
believe the Eagles are the better team. So I'm going with Kansas City.
Tim and I need to be barred from picking teams.
Yeah.
But you're up next, Tim.
I'm going to just continue to go with my heart. I want the Eagles to win. Part of it is personal. I don't want Kansas City to win 3 in a row. I'm a Cowboys fan. We won 3 out of 4, and that was almost a lifetime ago. I don't want Kansas City to have that. And I want Jalen Hurts. I want Saquon. I'm an NFC East dude. I got love for the 215. I want Philly. I want Philly to win it. I want Jalen Hurts to shut up a lot of people. So I ain't got to give a score, do I?
No.
Okay.
But you know, I do want to shout out Jalen Hurts' chain. Athletes chains versus hip hop chains. Hilarious.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention.
And Kev, you don't want your boy Saquon to get a ring?
I would love Saquon to get a ring. I wouldn't be. I won't. I'll be happy whoever, no matter who wins. But you know, Saquon, I've wanted I'm a big time Giant fan, but I'm a fan of football even more. And I've been asking for Saquon to be off the Giants for years. Before Dayball, I was like, yo, I want him to go someplace else.
Yeah.
So who are you going with, A? Are you and I sinking together, or are we separating? Because we've been stinking up the joint, but we've been doing it together.
We've been doing it together. See, now you want you
Now
making me want
I'm giving you
my
pressure.
man.
I'm giving you pressure here, baby. We talked about uniting.
Tim, for our sake, I'm gonna go against you. So at least
So one of us will be right. There
Yes.
you go.
Yes.
There you go. Because
Sure.
Kev can't be
Right.
by himself. Kev
No.
can't be, yeah.
The Eagles are the right call, eh?
yeah.
That line. 6'6", 330 something pounds.
I gotta
Average
go
offensive
with
line.
Patrick Mahomes. I've
He's-
learned my lesson. I'm not going against him until he loses. So I'm
we
gonna
got,
pick Kansas City.
so we got two
And that means
Kansas
the
City.
Eagles win by 43.
we got two Kansas City. Your boys standing alone. It's all good. We love each other, and y'all will get to laugh at some of us, one of us, or what have you. So, you know, and Lamar Jackson should have been the MVP, but
Who you telling?
yo, this is Tim. My mic sounds nice. Till next time, peace, love, and Black history is American history. Don't let nobody tell you anything different.
My mic sounds nice. This is Kev. Peace.
My mic sounds nice. Another one in the books. Kev, go take your blood pressure and make sure you're still okay.
Peace.
Man,
Yeah.
messing
You
up
almost-
my study.
Almost popped the vessel before the show.